You gave up your glory so I could have my story. I want to tell you, Lord, you paid it all up on the cross. You bled and died. Ah, you paid it all upon the cross. You bled and died 'cause I was lost. So here I am, surrendering my all. Lord, hear my cry. On my knees I fall. 'Cause you paid it. You paid it. You paid it. Lord, I wanna thank you. Yeah, you paid it. Yes, you did. Yes, you did. You canceled my past. Yeah, I wanna say thank you. You paid it, paid it, paid it, paid it. Threw it into the sea. You paid it all. Father God, we seek your face, asking for amazing grace. Come refresh our weary souls. For in your presence we're made whole. Yeah. Breathe on us, Holy Spirit, breathe. Fill my heart with desire. Send your fresh fire, living in me. Holy Spirit, I surrender all, my heart, mind, and soul. We hope that my Lord, in your presence now, let your power fall, let your voice be heard, at your command, Lord, we shall live again, we'll live again. Living within me. Holy Spirit, breathe. Oh, Spirit, breathe. Oh, yeah. Spirit, breathe. Spirit, breathe. Father, we seek your face, crying out for more grace. Show your mighty hand. Do it again. Do it again. Middle Georgia. Welcome to the WDDO weekly lineup. It's Regiment with Rhonda. Yes, it's Middle Georgia's very own Rhonda Bird. She's joining the Glory Express Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 10:15 a.m. That's Regiments with Rhonda. Come, get just a little bit. 10:15 on the Glory Express, 980 WDDO. History repeats itself. The new dynamic duo, 107.9 FM and 980 AM WDDO. The Glory. Roscoe's tour buses are moving safely. Do you have a church group, family reunion, or just a Saturday getaway? Roscoe's Tours is waiting to book your travel today. Local and distance trips. Clean, reliable buses ready to go. Call Roscoe's Tours today at 404-304-5600. That's 404-304-5600. Roscoe's Tour Buses.
I've always wanted to be an attorney because I truly enjoy helping people. If you get hurt in an accident, please feel free to call me. I'd love the opportunity to try to help you. The Dozier Law Firm, we're here in your time of need.
Glover Memorial Mortuary, located at 3241 Houston Avenue in South Macon, serving you and those you love with a personal touch is their motto for service. Sympathy, understanding, compassion, patience, and discounts available to lighten your financial burden. Dr. Walter Glover and staff are here to serve you and your family with a personal touch. They specialize in pre-need arrangements and cremation services with discounts given to every family with or without adequate insurance. Glover Memorial Mortuary, serving Macon and Middle Georgia since 1993. Vertice Zero Zier is on the new 107.9 FM and 980 AM WDDO. The Glory.
Every time I call on the name Jesus, something happens. Every time I call on the name of Jesus, something happens. Every time I call on the name of Jesus, something happens. Say it. Every time I call on the name of Jesus, something happens. Every time I call on the name of Jesus, something happens. So I call on. Call his name. Call his name. And heaven will respond when I say, oh, oh, oh. I call him. He will come through. Travis, help me say.
I call on Jehovah Jireh.
Yes, sir,
Something happens every time I call on Jehovah. I know. Something happens. So I call on you are my provider.
Connecting the community through gospel. The new 107.9 FM, W300EB, Macon, and WDDO 980 AM, Perry, Macon. Connecting the community through gospel. The new 107.9 FM, W300EB, Macon, and WDDO 980 AM, Perry, Macon.
The views expressed on this program are not necessarily the views of the Glory 980 AM, the Glory Media Group, LLC, WDDO AM, its staff, management, or advertisers, but are the views and opinions of the participants of the broadcast.
welcome. We got to get the sound straight on this thing. We'll be all right. We got a trusty engineer who handles the engineering, the HVAC, the lights, handles everything. He can make it all right. We want to welcome you to Ask Elaine. This is your weekly talk and information. Um, oh. Okay, I got it. I got it. Our engineer is, I mean, he works miracles. He fixes everything. He's got it straight. Okay, we're good. We're good. We want to welcome folks who've already tuned in. I think they're sitting there at about a quarter till three waiting for us, and we are just so happy to have Randy Crawford, Amelia Riley, and the rest of the gang is on the way. If you would hit like and share, then you can remind some people that they're missing their opportunity to get smarter. They're missing out on their opportunity to get smarter. And so we have a couple of special guests today, one who's already joined me here in the studio, and the other one is on two wheels. He's coming in. He's coming in. Our coroner is on the line. Oh, happy birthday to Pastor Dunning. Oh, happy birthday. I won't sing it. I promise you I won't sing it, but we sure do wish him a happy birthday. He's become so popular with so many other folks who are trying to have a talk show until it's kind of hard getting him on because he served as our co-host periodically. And so we're going to get him back on, but it's just something else. We just make folks so popular. But happy birthday to Pastor Dunning. We want to say hello to Hildred Jones. Good afternoon to you. Coroner, as always, we pray for you and wish you only the best. You have a job that only a few people can handle, but you seem to handle it. And so we all praying for you, and we know you start your day with prayer, which is what we all have to do, or you wouldn't be able to make it. But we also want to welcome Kimberly Houston, and I think, oh, Shirley Lester has joined us. Hello. And she says, hello, young lady, which is wonderful, wonderful to hear. And hello to you, young lady. Uh, we want to welcome those who are on AM and on FM. And of course, all the rest of you who are here on the Glory Live. We know everybody doesn't put anything in the chat, but we know that you're there. Sharon Talton has joined us. Good afternoon to you. Want to make mention of one or two things before we introduce our very, very special guest who's got some exciting things and some new information. And you know, we always say with Ask Elaine, you always end up smarter because you always learn something, something that you can take for your own information, but things that you can share with other people that will help them as well. We are watching every night. Last night was just a glorious evening watching the Democratic National Convention. If you are not watching it, you have missed two wonderful nights of seeing good folks, good Democrats who are pulling together to come up with a plan to save this country. Last night we had none other than Mr. Imhoff, who is the second gentleman who we hope will become the first gentleman. He is Vice President Kamala Harris's husband. He addressed the assembly there in Chicago, and he was followed. I understand that Patti LaBelle performed. I missed that part, but I'm going to go back and revisit that. But also, we had none other than our 44th president of the United States, Barack Hussein Obama. and also the former First Lady, Michelle Obama. And you're talking about just spellbound. You had to be listening to them. The pride, the eloquence, the the honor, the dignity. Last night was just filled with it. And then they had the roll call of the states, where the states made it official as to who they were casting their delegate votes for. And of course, Kamala Harris received an overwhelming number of those votes, something approaching, it was well over 3,000, where there's a required 2,000 plus. So it was glorious, and there were entertainers, and they played music as each state representatives stepped up, delegates stepped up to cast their votes, their delegate votes. There was special music for them. And I understand Georgia just put on a show, had a well known entertainer, don't ask me his name, but a well known entertainer who performed there, and just leave it to Georgia, which shows you how important Georgia is. Georgia decided who the president was 4 years ago, and Georgia is probably going to be the state where that decision is made this time. So, Georgia's votes are very, very important. So, when you get a chance, tune in. There's some wonderful things going on tonight. And then, of course, tomorrow we'll have the person that we hope will become, or that we're going to make sure, because President Obama last night, folks started booing at something. And he just, he had that look that black folks can give each other. And he said, don't boo, vote. Don't boo, vote. And that's what we say here on Ask Elaine all the time. Don't boo, don't complain all the time. Do something about it. Vote, call, let people know what's going on. And so we're going to have some suggestions over the next few weeks of things that you can do. Don't boo, vote, get involved, take some action. Cardinal Jones says we're expressing condolences to Dr. Morris Reese, who passed away on Monday. He was a doctor in Gordon with his nephew Brian Reese. He's been in Gordon, Georgia for a while, a fixture in Gordon with many patients. Wilkinson County is in mourning, and we are certainly expressing our deepest sympathy to that family of Dr. Morris Reese. And thank you, Coroner, for giving us that information. Patricia Booz has joined us. Donald Druitt, who is the former emergency management director and former military veteran, is a military veteran who has run for office several times, but stays involved, and we want to welcome um, him. Patrick Davis has joined us, and we're going to share what Patrick has posted. Kamala Harris needed to secure support from 2,350 out of more than 4,000 pledged and super delegates. She easily met that threshold. See, Patrick knows that I'm fumbling trying to get the information out there. And so what he does is he shares it in the chat so that he can keep me straight. The Democratic National Committee said after the close of the virtual roll call, 4,567 delegates voted for Harris. So overwhelming. Y'all, please take some time, if not for just a little while, and tune in to the Democratic convention that's now in session in Chicago. Our own Reverend Dr. Henry Ficklin is the lone Macon person who's a delegate there. Marianne Whipple, who is a former mayor of Gordon, is there. She has a special guest category, I think. I don't think she's a delegate. And there are a number of Maconites who are there as guests. But to be a delegate, I remember Dr. Ficklin and I were delegates representing Jesse Jackson. We were pledged to Jesse Jackson at the 1984 Democratic convention in San Francisco. And it was just a wonderful, wonderful event. And I know these many years later, with all of the new technology and everything, it's just even more wonderful. It's wonderful to watch. We want to welcome Phyllis Renee Theodore. Good afternoon to you. And good afternoon to everyone who has joined us. We welcome you to call in 478-250-1444. I want to mention one thing before I call on our guest. I have, and a number of us are handing out or distributing information where you can get a feel for what the candidates' stands are on various issues. And there's one piece of material that's being distributed by Black Voters Matter, which is a nonpartisan organization. And they have done a description of the positions that Kamala Harris and Donald Trump have on various issues. The one that I'm going to cover um, today involves elections. And the question is, did Joe Biden win the 2020 presidential elections? Kamala Harris says yes. The results were certified by state after state and reaffirmed by court after court. On January 6th, we all saw what our nation would look like if the forces who seek to dismantle our democracy are successful. Okay, Donald Trump says no. Joe Biden did not win the presidential election, although he's been sitting there about 4 years. Uh, but Donald Trump says no, he didn't win the election. He called the election a big lie and a massive fraud that would justify termination of parts of the Constitution. He called those who stormed the U.S. Capitol unbelievable patriots. And he says that he would pardon them fully. So you make up your mind which one makes sense. So those are the positions, their positions on elections, and we will be covering their other the competing positions on these different issues each week on Ask Elaine. Now we've got a full house. Our first special guest is none other than Mr. Clarence Thomas. And Mr. Thomas is a writer. He's also you've become a recreation specialist now because he is the coordinator, the supervisor of the Frank Johnson Community Center or Recreation Center. And thousands of people go through there and take advantage of the services at Frank Johnson. It used to be Unionville Rec Center. And the late Charles Dudley introduced, and I co sponsored, along with several other uh, county, city council members at that time, a name change. And it was passed, I believe, unanimously to change the name to the Frank Johnson Recreation Center in honor of the late Frank Johnson, in honor of all the work that he had put into the community. And of course, his family, Dorothy Johnson and their daughter Cheryl, who's still very active in the community. Um, so he's a director there. And I already said he's a writer. But today we're going to talk about something else that he is involved in. So welcome to Ask Elaine.
Thank you.
Tell folks a little bit about you, especially that thing about SS,
Come on now.
Savannah State.
Come on.
Go
Yeah.
ahead.
The Savannah State University.
Right, right. That's right. That's right.
Yeah. And I'm glad that you mentioned it, Commissioner Lucas, because if you didn't, I definitely was.
Yeah, yeah. That's my school, y'all.
That's our school.
Graduate
That's
of
our school.
Savannah State. Yeah.
Yeah. So yes, ma'am. Thank you as always for what you do, for what the senator does, and for thinking of me today and thinking of Not Robbery for having me on. I'm honored and privileged to be here, and to share where we are right now on some things. Um, yeah. So I have the honor and privilege, of course, every day of serving to make the citizens of Macon Bibb County full time as the supervisor of the Frank Johnson Recreation
Hmm.
Center, originally established in 1976 as Unionville Rec Center. So we're a historic
Hmm.
location in the heart of a historic community, the historic Unionville, and we consider ourselves a factor, and we consider ourselves an impetus of change and a place, a respite,
Hmm.
and a place where the community can come and take advantage of their tax dollars uh, at no charge, mostly, and at very nominal prices in some other instances.
Yeah.
Um, Recreation is what we consider to be now an essential component and part of making Bibb County government. And that's because we're quality of life.
Right.
That's the bottom line. We're quality of life, and we're the place where people come and relax, engage, interact, network, and have fun, and
Hmm.
let their hair down, basically.
What's available at Frank Johnson Center?
Oh wow, you name it. So we're in that time of year where we're planning for the 2024-25 season. So we just kind of wrapped up with summer camp last in mid-July. Typically we're gonna always max out summer camp. We had 110 this summer,
Oh,
5 days a
yeah,
week for 6 weeks,
yeah,
5 to 15-year-olds,
yeah,
and they had a blast. Had those moments where
yeah, yeah. Well, you're gonna always have those.
but for the
Yeah,
most part, it's always rewarding and always fulfilling serving those children and connecting with them and providing them, an opportunity to be doing something positive during the
yeah.
summer months. We also have a ladies' night that's every Thursday night. We have theme night. So Monday night is usually going to be adult night. Tuesday night is teen night. Wednesday night, we normally have sort of an open situation with our volleyball players. We got some fantastic volleyball players that come in every Wednesday and play. Thursday night is ladies' night. Friday night is family fun night. So family
Hmm.
fun night at our location is one where the family is encouraged to come in and they can do some structured recreational activities, or
Uh-huh.
they can just kind of have the run of the building. And then, of course, we're there every Saturday from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Um, we have an amazing game room. I mean, we got old school stuff going on in there, like Pac-Man
Uh-huh.
and Street Fighter. But we also have air hockey. We have billiard tables. We have ping pong. Programming wise, I mean, it all depends on kind of like what's going on around that time of the year. But we offer everything from toddlers to Gen Zs and Gen Xs, all the way up to senior citizens. Everybody can get
Hmm.
in where they fit in at Frank Johnson and find something to do. We're going to be programming pretty heavily now because we're fully staffed again. It's been a minute coming, but we are fully
Yeah.
staffed, and we're actually about to kick off a 3 to 5 year old program called
Oh,
Start Smart for
really?
toddlers.
That's
Sometime,
wonderful.
yeah, in October. It's a sports and recreation National Alliance for Youth Sports
Uh-huh.
program for 3 to 5 year olds that teaches throwing, hitting, catching, and kicking. So we'll be doing that. We have a ladies' night
That
event
is
once a
neat.
quarter.
Uh-huh.
So Miss Miranda Brooks, our coordinator too, she's fantastic. She's always out there finding that next great public event opportunity.
Yeah.
We partner with Making Mental Health Matters. We
I
partner
was
with
going
the
to
health
ask you
department.
about that
Yeah,
because
we
Macon's stats are not good.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Your longevity is tied to your length of life is
yes.
tied to where your zip code
That's exactly
is.
correct. That's
And
exactly
there was a
correct.
study I'm on the Board of Health and we got some information just earlier this week that in some areas your life, um, your length of life
Hmm.
is 10 years lower, depending on where you live, than in some other areas. And
Yes,
that is a terrible statistic. So we've got to marshal all of the efforts to change that. And
absolutely.
that includes the mental health as
Absolutely,
well.
absolutely, yeah. So we've had some major, amazing collaborations off and on, especially since the pandemic has passed. Um, uh, it includes everything from Black History Month programs to
Hmm.
health events, and partnerships with the health department. It sort of has run the gamut, so that we can
Hmm.
make sure that we cover every facet and every area, pardon me,
Hmm.
of people's
Hmm.
lives that have needs. We even have a major food drive once a year, that Miss Brooks presides over. That's coming up, and that we're gearing up for right now. Last year, the donations went to Loaves and Fishes and Daybreak,
Hmm.
for instance.
Hmm.
So we're taking recreation is changed dramatically over the last decade. It's not just about rolling the ball out anymore. And our director, Robert Walker, kudos to him, and our assistant director, Armand Burnett. Reggie Moore, of course, who's now in Baltimore, and the executive
Yeah.
director of Baltimore
Yeah.
Parks and Rec. He sort of laid that foundation and the theory and framework of us being more than just a place where sports takes place.
Hmm.
Recreation now is a holistic platform where you can come in and use our computers, for instance, the job search, or just simply come in and enjoy them in a capacity that is legal
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
moral, of
Yeah.
course. We do a lot of renting. I mean, we do everything from repasses to birthday parties,
Hmm.
to major events that we facilitate. Just had a major family reunion. The Massey family just rented our place last month before,
Yeah.
yeah, last month I
Yeah.
think it was, and
Yeah.
they had a major family reunion. So our mantra at Frank Johnson is Frank Johnson Recreation Center, where we, capital A, capital R, capital E, family, and
Uh-huh.
we operate in that context. And it begins with our staff. I charge our staff with acting and being family first, and then they're my first customer,
Yeah.
and then they in turn act that way and exude that throughout the community, from the time you hit the door to the time they leave
That's
and
great.
beyond,
It
every day.
certainly is
Mhm.
used an awful lot and is beneficial to the community. There was an upgrade to it, a renovation to it,
Mhm.
2, 3 years ago. It's
Yeah,
been
well,
longer than
it's
that.
been a little bit longer than that, actually. But you're right. I mean, our initial phase one of we have two phases of
Right.
SPLOST
Because I was going to ask you
overhauls taking
about this
place.
next phase because
Yeah,
it's coming.
that's right. The initial phase of the SPLOST overhaul, and SPLOST, of course, stands for Special Purpose Local Option Sales Tax. That's the
That you
penny
pay.
that we pay.
You
Yeah,
pay.
and
Yeah.
that provided our internal renovation, which was
Hmm.
spectacular. I
Hmm.
mean, it just altered and changed everything
Oh,
for
yeah.
us, for the
Yeah.
facility.
Yeah.
And that took place actually back in 20. It's been a minute, since 2015. We've been back in the building since
Golly. You
2016.
know, there's so much going on until I'm just all out.
You're all right.
Yeah.
But the final phase is coming up very, very soon.
Uh-huh.
And it's
There's another couple of million that's
we
going to
got,
be spent
yes, ma'am.
at Frank
Mm,
Johnson to upgrade because I'm not totally pleased with the front part
understood.
there.
Yeah,
And so there that 2 million will
mm,
come in handy. We wanted to make sure that's been one of my um, areas of focus
that's right.
ever since I became an elected official, a council member, and then commissioner. And that was to make sure that we provided recreational opportunities all over the county.
That's right.
And so we've been very successful thanks to the people voting for those SPLOS.
That's right.
And by the way, folks, there's going to be a request that you support another SPLOS in the to be voted on in the next couple of years. And start thinking about the kinds of things, major needs that you see
Hmm.
in the community that you would like to have included in the spots. I won't be on the commission,
Right.
but I certainly hope to be serving on the water board.
Yes,
And
that's
I
right.
do hope I do know
District 1, right?
that District 1,
Come on.
that's right, that everybody can have input in where your money will go. And so I know part of it is roads, all of the
Mhm.
roads, doing a just a major focus on the roads, and there's some other areas, but you can have input on that. It's your money. You got to pay it. We all, when we vote on it, we all have to pay it.
That's
So
right.
and so we're going to get back to you in just a minute. My other guest today is none other than my boyfriend
The
of 48
T H
years,
E
the
E.
THE, the senator from the 26th, who's the longest serving. Got his phone going. He's the longest serving legislator now serving in Atlanta with
Mm.
what 49.
No, I'll be starting 50 years.
He'll be starting 50 years this coming session. He ran this past time without opposition, so he'll be serving his 50th year. Just we're going to devote a couple of programs after we get through these election things. We're going to devote a couple of programs to you just talking about some of that history, some of the people you've met, some of the things that you did, what it was like being in the legislature way back in 74 when
Mm.
you were first elected at 24.
Wow.
And not but what, 2 years, 3 years out of college, 2 years out of college. And so we're going to have him to talk about those kinds of things. That's history, y'all. And we
That's right.
need to make sure that we record all of this stuff, because as people pass on, we lose that history. I think about that every time people pass away. And I'm saying, what history did
Mhm.
they take with them? So we need to do a better job of that. So, uh, Senator, I know that you watched some of the convention. So tell us your thoughts.
Well, first of all, y'all were talking about the Unionville Recreation Center. Back in the 60s,
Hmm.
Reverend J.L. Key always talked about what you're going to do for Unionville.
Mm.
Hmm.
And so Unionville was on the minds of those elected officials then, because Reverend Key used to go out there and talk about what you're going to do for Unionville. So I
Hmm.
don't want folks to forget those folks who
Yeah,
come
there was.
before us
Yeah.
and raise those questions. As far as the convention, I like it. Donald Trump, when he has his debate, he's going to be prosecuted. That will not be an opportunity for him to just talk over folks and say what he want to say, because he's the biggest liar that's ever
Oh,
served
yes, he is.
as president. Some of the things that we're looking at are history making in the sense of what has happened with the Democratic Party within a 2 month span. Uh, I call him Uncle Joe, decided that he was not going to seek re-election and handed the mantle over to uh, Kamala
Kamala
Harris.
Harris. Yeah.
And one of the things you got to realize is that now Donald Trump is the oldest one running for
Yeah, he's
president. You know,
they're not saying too much about age
not
now, are
talking
they?
not talking about. The only thing he talks about is calling Kamala Kabbalah and all of those numbers, talking about she didn't do this, she didn't do that, and he wanted to refer to her as, what race are you?
Yeah.
Are you black?
What and
Jamaican?
what does it matter?
That's right.
Well,
Smart.
if folks look at history, slave ships stopped in Jamaica and thought they were in America. So they come from the same roots that the
Where
majority of us came from. So, you know, you trying to make a joke about it. And then all of a sudden, now is whether or not Donald Trump want a black job.
Michelle got him. She got him. She
You know,
said he's trying to go after one of those black jobs
yeah,
as president.
but one of the things we got to understand what's happening in this country. We are not going back.
Oh, are you, Clarence? You going back?
Definitely not.
I'm
And and
not.
and
Y'all going back?
and what these young folks need to understand, where we came from is a mighty long ways.
Yeah.
But we still have a mighty long ways to go. And of course, many of the older folks like myself, they're dying out. Who gonna take the place? Are you gonna run for office as a young person to get along, go along to get along?
Mm.
Or are you gonna stand up for the rights of individuals that you represent? And being an elected official, sometimes you have to take a stand, and you might be the only one that takes that stand because it does not benefit the community that you represent and you were elected from. So we all have to understand that there's a lot of things going on. Look at the Macon Water Authority. Got more money than the county.
Yeah.
And one thing that they don't do, they're being the bullies. They took over the Macon Water City Commission back in 1974. Legislation was passed. And in it is said that they take over all the properties and liabilities.
And the
And,
liability.
and the liabilities come, people didn't hook up like they were supposed to hook up. I'm looking at a building over there on the corner of Broadway and Hayes, ABC liquor store that everybody knows about, that was built in 1962. That's the only permit you find. But somehow they connected the lateral line, which takes waste and wastewater out, and the sewage lines across the street. That line is hooked up to the regular wastewater system. And so now the water authority, being a bullet, gonna tell the folks that you need to pay for it. Well,
They're
no,
telling the property owner
that's
that
right.
they've turned his water off.
Turned it off since
And
February. And part of that problem, nobody knew about this lateral line until the Department of Transportation came down Broadway. They had researched and they looked over and they saw a dip in the road. And they ran the cameras down there and found the lateral line is tied into the wastewater system. And so
so they're trying to make the property
they
owner
trying
a
it.
small businessman.
His water been cut off since February. That ain't right. He can't even rent the other part of the building. There used to be a convenience store there, and they sold hot dogs, hamburgers, and stuff. But that water went into the sewer system, and not the sewage system.
So
The
they're
sewer.
interfering
Wow.
with his ability to do
Unreal.
his business.
Right. He can't rent the
Yeah.
other side of the business.
Yeah.
And something is wrong with that. But that's going to be another day. And as I was told, it's a private matter. But guess what?
It wasn't private.
It
in
went
some
private
other
when they cut the
situations.
water off. But you know, like everything else, they gonna have to
All right.
they gonna have to come they gonna have to come see me before I see them.
Okay.
Yeah, I believe so.
You know.
Desmond Brown has joined us. He is the only Black person now serving on the Water Authority, duly elected to represent District 2. I will be running to represent District 1. Desmond, you know, these districts are huge. They are huge. There are only 4 of them. There are 7 members serving on your water board, and you're going to find out more about the water board than you ever wanted to know. But you need to know just how important, how vital it is, and why it's even more important now than it was back when it was created, because it was created so that we could have an ongoing operation as far as our water is concerned. But now, with the emphasis on the environment and making sure that we have clean water and that we have water into the future, it's gaining more and more importance. And plus, as the senator says, their budget is larger than the county budget. The county budget is over $200 billion. And so you're talking about
Did not know.
an important organization. And I'd like to be a part of it. That's why I'm running, because first of all, you need to know what it's doing. And secondly, I'd like to be a part of the continued effort that's being made to maintain our clean water. We've won awards
And we
for
pay
having great,
4.99 every month for it.
and everyone who has a gets a water bill, there is a 4.99 fee plus millions of your SPLOS dollars are
Right.
also designated for the water authority. So you've got a big investment in water. And so we want you to understand just how important it is. And I'd like to assist Desmond and others in making sure that all of Macon Bibb County
That's
Well,
right. That's right.
benefits.
one of the things you have to look at when Anissa Jones decided to run for the state legislature and the appointment to the water board didn't look like us,
Hmm.
whether they were going to do the unexpired term or not. And the person they appointed doesn't stay in the
Right,
hood.
right. He's not in District
And so
One.
it was a total disrespect to a segment of this community to not replace it with someone who would halfway understand some of the problems you have. For instance,
Mhm.
old Macon, there are a lot of problems because these terracotta pipes break up in the ground. And people are having to repair their sewer lines and stuff. They got to dig it up, cost them $4,000-$5,000. Well, the Water and Sewage Authority has the money that they don't want to spend to take care of the liabilities that they assume. Because the city, Macon City Water Commission, it was going out of business, it's been bankrupt. That's the reason they formed and incorporated the Macon Water Sewage Authority. Now, they got plenty of money and they treating folks like they are nobodies. Except I would assume that some folks get some. So I don't know whether the squeaky wheel gets greased
I think the squeaky
or
wheel
or
definitely
not.
does.
But it is wrong what the Macon Water and Sewer Authority is doing to ABC liquor store. We find out it's been happening over 60 years. The previous owners didn't know anything about it. Nobody knew anything about it till the Department of Transportation came and ran a camera down through the ground to find out what the problem was.
Wow.
And they told the Water and Sewer Authority,
Right.
it's on your side because the
Mhm.
line comes out into the street. But guess what? We go, we gonna fix it. And
It has to be fixed because you cannot have a business operating without water.
Correct.
It's already operated without water for
Wow.
significant amount
Since
of
February,
time,
you said.
yeah,
and there has to be some provision, some rule regulation that water has to be provided over a certain period of time or whatever. There's something that's not right
well,
about this.
it what's not right is what the Water and Sewer Authority is doing to that.
Do you have an
But
idea of how much it's going to cost?
don't
Because
have
I
it.
have a feeling that
That
that's factoring in it.
the part of the problem is to get an engineering firm to give you a price. You got to find out where the utilities are and whether or not you can dig them under the road. A lot of times you can bore up under the road and connect to the sewage line. We don't have any cost yet, but let me tell you one of the other things. The Water and Sewer Authority, prior to consolidation, you had an appointment by the city and one appointment by the county.
Correct.
We didn't have any problems like we have now. I say you don't need but one appointee from the county. The other needs to be a district seat, and people elect that person.
Yeah. These districts, we were looking in with the campaign, we were looking, and I know you folks can't see this, but there are four districts, four that folks are elected from, which roughly Macon is a big old place. And so that covers a lot of area.
Indeed.
And so it looks to me like
would be more
there should be a fifth elected
Yeah, you think
position, especially with the importance of water and sewer and all of the neighborhoods that are being built around Macon in these areas. So that's something that's a concern that will be up for discussion coming up. And I hope the other members of the Macon Water Authority see fit to have that as a discussion item. It would be the legislative action that would have to be taken
Right.
to change and to just take and equalize all the population in 5 districts rather than 4.
Well,
And you would have better representation.
there's no question about it. Representation is what we fought for in this community, to be part of the community and help run this community.
Right.
And basically, what you have is ditto, 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 ditto.
Yeah.
Same thing
I
all
agree
over,
with you. Back
all
and
over
forth.
again. So guess what? Water and sewage died. You finna have a problem.
Uh-oh. All
Oops.
right.
Oops.
Before we're gonna go back. Ooh, it's gonna be interesting.
To say the least.
Mr. Clarence Thomas and Senator David Lucas are our guests on Ask Elaine. We want to welcome you. If you've just tuned in, welcome to Ask Elaine. And you can tell this is the place to be.
Come on.
This is where you need to be at 3 o'clock every Wednesday, because you get information, you get smarter, you find out what's going on. Because if I find it out, I'm going to bring it and I'm going to tell you about it as quickly as I can. And I want to continue in an elected position to have access for those folks who might not have access to information. I want to be able to continue being your voice and get that information. So we're going to go back to Clarence Thomas. Clarence Thomas, we've already introduced to you. He's told you about that he graduated from Savannah State, the Savannah State
THEE,
University,
Savannah State
my
University.
alma mater, where Savannah meets the sea.
Come on.
Oh,
And
yeah.
where you can get anywhere
Where
from.
grassy plains and palms
Abound.
abound. Where the flowers are gems of loveliness. There. SS, well, it was C when I was there. It's found.
It's found.
Okay.
That's right. That's
Okay.
right.
And a lot of young folks from Macon are attending Savannah State. That is just wonderful.
Yes.
But
Yes,
Mr.
I'm very
Clarence
encouraged.
Thomas serves, he wears a lot of hats. And one hat, he's already told us about being the director at Frank Johnson Center. Pastor Lisa has joined us. Charlia Foster has joined us. Phyllis Renee Theodore, Hildred Jones, and Noah Harbuck. Noah Harbuck, is that that's Noah from Monroe County, isn't it? Isn't he the Republican who is running in the same for the same seat that Tangi Herring is? Noah, put in the chat if you're that Noah Harbuck. I believe he's a candidate. Okay, and Pastor Lisa says Mr. Thomas, aka
Hey,
Mr.
Pat.
Journalism. Oh, okay,
Hey, Pastor.
Noah, welcome, Noah. You're learning a lot today. I know you are. Desmond, they're saying hey to you, Noah. Noah's a good young man. He's an interesting young man. But Noah, I'm a Democrat, so you know what that means. But I'm just so happy that you're on with Ask Elaine.
Indeed.
Our special guest, Mr. Clarence Thomas, has added a new hat.
Added a new hat.
So tell us about that new hat.
Yeah, so it's an extension of one of my old hats, which of course, when I'm not at Frank Johnson Recreation Center working full time for Macon-Bibb County government, you'll find me doing probably one of my most favorite things, and that's writing. I have my own company, Visionary Communications, and have for quite a while since I worked for the Honorable Mayor C. Jack Ellis as his communications director. When I left there in 2003, I formulated my own company specializing in public and media relations and writing projects. And blessed to be writing these days and have been for quite a while for the Middle Georgia Informer newspaper, in more recent years, Macon Magazine, and most recently for Georgia Trend Magazine as well. But this book right here
Oh,
It's so
tell us
special. This is
about it.
my
Hold
first.
that
This
book
this this is
up.
my first
So
ever
we,
book. It's called My Little Light. It's called My Little Light, and the character that you see on the front, this is 8-year-old Malik. So
uh-huh.
this book is special because this book was born out of a sister city trip to one of Macon's 6 sister cities, Elmina, Ghana, West Africa, with Mayor Ellis.
Were you on the trip when I went?
I wasn't on that trip.
You weren't on that?
I went with him in 2007.
Mayor Ellis established that sister city relationship with Elmina,
That's right.
Ghana, and took a delegation of us there. We took medical equipment,
Exactly. So did
and
we.
we also took some
Books as
books
well.
to children. Y'all, the children were sitting on the ground. This is not all the schools. You know, children have to pay for schooling in most of Africa. It's changing because they've discovered oil in Ghana and several
They
other
say don't say
places.
that too
So
loud.
they won't be sitting on
But
the
yeah,
floor,
that's true.
but they won't be
You got
on the
that
floor
right.
too much
You got
because
that
they're
right.
investing that money in education and healthcare. But
Yes.
when we went over there, we went and we saw some schools where the teacher had one book and was writing all the stuff on the one board,
Yeah.
and the children were sitting there copying in their notebooks everything that the teacher was putting up there. We better appreciate our education and
Yes.
do a better job of taking advantage of it because ours is free. And
That's
those
right.
kids, and then before they get to the school, they got to walk
They have to walk.
miles
Saw him
to
doing it
get
when we were
there.
over there.
Yeah,
We saw some
yeah,
of that. I think
yeah.
that's.
I just wanted to share that with you, but
That's right.
I'm sorry. Go
It's
ahead.
okay. It's
Go
okay.
ahead.
Yeah, education is they place a premium on it over there. But yeah, so this book was born out of that trip. When I got back from that trip, it left such. We were only there for 1 week, but it left such an indelible, powerful mark on me. Everywhere we went, it was brother, welcome home, brother, welcome. What
Uh-huh,
can we do for
uh-huh,
you?
uh-huh.
And just an amazing experience. And I wanted to marry that. I said, how do you bridge that experience, man? And so in 2008, early in 2008, the Most High said, "Hey, man, do a children's book, and make it about a little African boy." And what else? What else? What else, God? What else? Keep going with it. And he said, "Hey, man, make it an adventure tale, but make it a morality tale."
Uh-huh.
And so this is what we came up with. We came up with My Little Light. Malik is the star, and his goal one Saturday morning is real simple, but it's powerful. He's been studying the older adult vendors at the marketplace near his home. Little do they know that he's been watching them do nice things for people who can't afford their services or their goods at no charge. He's been so impressed by what he's been witnessing for a while that one Saturday morning he wakes up and he says, "Today's my day.
Uh-huh.
Today I'm going to do a good deed at no cost and do a good turn for somebody." Don't want to give away the plot, but
Yeah.
this book is illustrated by a brother named Francesco Polite. He resides in Oahu, Hawaii,
Uh-huh.
and I came across him via his auntie, who I was interviewing. She's an author who resides in Savannah, a couple of 3 years ago, and she said, I said, "Hey, I got the manuscript. It's dusty, but it's there. I just need to bring this book to life. I need a great illustrator." And as you can see here, he did a fantastic job with it. These are just some of the images from it here.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Yeah,
I
just
love
some
the
of the imagery,
illustrations.
some of
Yeah.
the imagery here. But the God wrote the book. I mean, literally. I mean, I just channeled. I just put down what he guided me to put down,
Uh-huh.
and it's a very, very powerful story. It's been said that when um, readiness collides with or meets opportunity, it's an explosion. Explosion takes
Uh-huh.
place. So he
Uh-huh.
finally gets his chance that Saturday afternoon down at the marketplace. I won't say what that chance is and what the ending is,
Yeah.
but I just say it's very, very powerful.
Yeah.
So
That's
this book,
wonderful,
yeah,
y'all.
yeah, only $19.99, and people can get it via me or they can purchase it on Amazon.
Okay, and we're going to ask Brother Clarence to include his contact information here in the chat. That will be there for those of you who are interested in purchasing this. We're going to get one for a couple of our grandchildren
Thank you so much.
that
Bless your
we
heart.
know love reading, aren't we, Senator?
Whatever you say about it.
Let's cover some of our comments. Phyllis Renee Theodore put how do we purchase the book. So
Mhm.
he's gonna add his contact information. Pastor Lisa, awesome. And Phyllis Renee Theater was saying that she agrees with. She's been to Africa
Mhm.
and witnessed the situation with medical as well as the schools.
Yes.
Faye Alexander has joined us. Shirley Lester, Teresa
Hey,
Henderson
Miss Lester.
Hill,
That's my buddy
and
right
of
there.
course Desmond. Yeah.
What's up, Desmond?
Um, we want to make sure, of course, Noah, um, Pastor Lisa. He's Noah says he's getting a lot of good information. Y'all like and share, please. Shirley Lester, I don't believe we recognized that she was on.
Hey, Miss Lester.
Uh-huh.
It's my partner.
And
It's my buddy
Pastor
right there.
Lisa, yeah. I think Hildred Jones is on with us. We just love having all of you, and we love having all the folks who are on AM and FM. We know that you're there, and we do appreciate you. We've had some people who say that they're picking up children at 3,
Mm.
and they have to make sure that they find them a cool place to wait so that they can listen to Ask Elaine.
Well, you
Now,
know,
Senator.
it's interesting, but you know, as we talk and hear Brother Thomas,
Yes, sir.
one of the problems we have this election cycle, we have a rogue state board of elections.
Mm.
3 Republicans are doing Donald Trump's bidding, and now they want to go back and reinvestigate Fulton County elections, which we've had the investigation on, and Giuliani was sued by defaming 2 of the poll workers and saying they were filling up boxes and hauling the things in for folks to vote. These 3 Republicans on the state board of election have gone rogue, and they are doing things outside of state law and meeting
Mm.
with a quorum.
Right.
And so I'm going to say something about it. Matter of fact, they're going to see action from Senator Lucas. Now, I'm going to be the undarling child of the Senate. But what they're doing is wrong. And they're only doing it because they don't want people of color to show up at the poll.
Yeah.
And we're
Yeah.
going to try to make sure that people of color are recognized at the polls, that we are able to cast our vote.
That's right.
And that black women, they got to show up. You got
Black
a roll.
men
You
have
got
got
a
to
roll
show up.
Supreme Court that's basically is setting the law for the land, not legislation wise, but going outside of legislation.
Yeah.
Give Donald Trump a free ride. Oh, he could do what he wanted to do when he was president.
Yeah, the law is supposed to be the law.
Correct.
And you're supposed to be a judge and interpret it correctly. It's not supposed to be a political decision in favor of Donald Trump,
Well, but
which
see-
is what we have. But unless we vote and elect the right Democrats, I'm a Democrat, unless we vote for the right Democrats to take office, we are going to be in serious trouble, and we'll continue with what's happening on the courts. The next president possibly could be in a position to appoint additional
Well,
folks to the Supreme Court.
there's no question about it.
So they got to deal with it. Donald Trump is not going to deal with it. He's happy with those clowns that are sitting up there, and
Not,
it
not
shouldn't
based,
be
on,
that
not
way.
based on what I saw in Project 2025
Yeah.
a few
But-
days
Oh, yeah.
ago.
And part of the problem is you got a Supreme Court justice whose wife
Yeah, they
works
make money
for
on
all of these
law firms.
law firms.
Mhm.
And that's not ethical. You don't find out anything until somebody, investigative reporter, goes and find out that you've been taking money from all of these millionaire donors and stuff, getting plane rides to this, going here
RVs
to vacation,
and
or
stuff.
RV,
Yeah.
those kind of things. Listen, it's time out.
Yeah.
It's time out. If you're doing wrong, you you're gonna get the jugging.
The only way that there's going to be a change in the Supreme Court is now Uncle Joe is going to start it before he leaves. He's got 5 or 6 more months, and Uncle Joe is going to take care of business. Just like he may be old, but I was going to vote for him anyway. But we got Kamala, and so I think that Joe Biden has cemented his place in history as one of the very best presidents that we ever had.
There's no question about
Uh,
it.
he just has that place, and nobody can take it from him. Even though folks had a problem with his age, you all gonna get old. You keep on living.
Well, well,
You'll be
We
there.
are.
Donald
And
Trump old now.
yes, he is old and getting senile. It sounds to me because every time he opens his mouth, did you see him the other day standing up there with grocery in the hot sun?
Yeah.
Grocery bacon and all kinds of stuff in the hot sun. He didn't even know what he had. That man is crazy. If anybody votes for him, they are crazy too. We want to welcome Kimberly Gray Harmon to Ask Elaine. And good afternoon to everyone. I surely hope I didn't miss anybody's name. Our time goes by so fast. It really does, especially when
I did
we
want to
have
give them
two
my
wonderful, handsome gentlemen here who are sharing information.
Mhm.
Our guests today have been none other than B. Clarence Thomas,
Thank
author,
you. Thank you, ma'am.
recreation director, just all
Writer.
kinds of
Writer.
titles. Savannah State College graduate.
That's right. Inaugural
Yeah,
mass communications class.
yeah,
Inaugural
yeah,
communications
yeah.
class. Class of 1986.
Oh, okay. And our own Senator David E. Lucas, longest serving legislator, now serving.
If they want to get the
And
book,
yeah,
if they want to
yeah.
get a book, they can get it on Amazon, or they can
Okay.
contact me directly via my company information, which is Visionary Communications 2003, Visionary Communications 2003 at gmail.com, or they can direct message my business Facebook page as well.
Okay, well, what you can do is share your information with everybody who's in the chat.
Okay.
Um, y'all, time flies when you're having fun. I appreciate all of you who have expressed your support for me as I run for District 1, the Water Board. It's been my pleasure and honor to have served you as a commissioner and city council member, but I want to continue serving because there's more work to do. You have some work to do, and Charlia says you need to check that voting status. Go to Secretary of State My Voter page, put in your information, and make sure you are there. And it says that you're an active voter. Do that every week to make sure that there's nothing going on with your status. Check it, please. I also want to thank Senator. You have one final thing to
You
say?
you are right because folks can go in and change your voting uh status.
Yeah, and they don't need to be able to do that, but you need to check it. Check it. Thank you so much, Mr.
Thank you
Thomas. We
too.
need 2 books here, one for 2 of our grandchildren, and then if some others want it, we'll get some more. It looks wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for tuning in. We hope that you got smarter. We know you did. We thank you for tuning in, and we'll expect you back here again next Wednesday at 3 p.m. for another edition of Ask Elaine.
Thank you.